Well, that's what we're focusing on today on Sunrise Daily, and we're joined by Honorable Samson Osagie, who is the Director of Strategy for Odubu Campaign Organization. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. Well, many are surprised at the turn of events as it's playing out. Could you just tell us, because, I mean, you did address that press conference, what exactly happened?
Well, Chamberlain, good morning, and it's nice to be with you again. I speak on this subject as an eyewitness, as one who was involved throughout that day on the campaign activities of the Deputy Governor. Precisely on that day, we set out to go to the 3 local governments of the Esako branch of the Edo North Senatorial District. On our way, we started receiving calls that the delegates of the APC in the 3 local governments have been instructed by their leaders in the various areas not to receive the deputy governor who was coming to solicit their support during the APC primaries. But they insisted that we must come and that they were ready for us to come. So we started with Esako East, headquarters at Agenebode. We met an enthusiastic delegates, and they received us, and we were quite happy, and we left. There was no issue at all. We went there with a full complement of our campaign team. From there, we went to Fuga, the headquarters of Esako Central local government area. We met a dispersed crowd of delegates outside the premises of the chairman of the party at Fuga, who told us that they have been dispersed by a top government official not to attend a meeting for the deputy governor to come and address them. However, the top government official had whisked away the party chairman not to be in attendance. But they led us to the party secretariat at Fuga, where we eventually addressed them and then left for a ceremony at Udaba Ekperi, where the team attended that burial ceremony of a member of the house who was during the burial of the mother. Thereafter, we proceeded to Auchi, our last bus stop for that day, to meet with the delegates of Esako West local government. Incidentally, that is the local government of His Excellency, the Comrade Governor of Edo State. And we were told on our way that though there was a mammoth crowd of delegates, including the chairman of the party at the venue, but that a few persons have been mandated to disrupt that meeting. But the deputy governor dismissed it as a mere alarm and said that cannot happen. Since they were already there, we were going to attend. So we went. And we got to the venue and we met a very enthusiastic crowd. And as we were moving into the hall, there was an attack from a group of boys who just came from nowhere and started dragging the canopy that was placed outside. And the security aides of the deputy governor resisted them, pursued them back, and were able to settle down inside the hall. And then a national anthem was sung. And sooner had we settled down, that we started hearing gunshots from the outside. We thought it was a joke. We thought it was the policemen outside who were doing their bid, apparently to scare them away. But when we discovered that even members of the team who were inside the hall where we were seated were receiving bullet wounds, and we were seeing blood, on those who were seated and listening, trying to listen to the address of the deputy governor, we knew that something had gone wrong. And then information came that about 3 people had been shot, at the outside, and that they were being rushed to the hospital. Another one came. Before we knew what was happening, about 8 people had been wounded as a result of the gunshots. So we had to quickly rush out of the venue. The security aides of the deputy governor, who were still remaining, 2 of them had secured injury and they have been taken to the hospital. The security aide has to quickly come into the place and get a human sheet to take the deputy governor into his car, and then we have to zoom off to a hotel very close by where we gathered ourselves, and thereafter we visited the hospital where all of them were receiving immediate treatment before we eventually moved to Benin. It was the following day that press conference you have just shown was addressed. That was the incident.
Was it the deputy governor that was targeted, or they wanted to disrupt the meeting?
Chamberlain, how do you describe, what would you say is the intention of a group of hoodlums who begin to fire guns into an event where a deputy, a public officer of that caliber was being seated? If they had done that before we came to the venue, if they had scared the people away to say they should not wait by gun, we won't have cause to worry about whether it was the deputy governor that was being targeted. Or were you expecting, for instance, that the bullet should have met the deputy governor before he can pass for an assassination attempt? So for crying out loud, we believe that those bullets could have met anybody, including the deputy governor. So I cannot tell you because I was not part of the hoodlums. Those who say it was not an assassination attempt should tell us what it is. Because his security aides who we are giving to him to guide him, we are injured. The escort commander as we speak now is almost at the verge of losing one of his eyes. So what cannot come and tell us that it was not an assassination attempt? It could have met him, and we cannot wait for us to say, oh, the deputy governor was not targeted. I'm not in a position to say that. But what we are in a position to say is that those bullets could have met anybody, including the deputy governor. And if that had happened, what would anybody have said?
We quite understand it, but now I think you're bringing it clearer to the people. A whole lot of people had thought that shots were fired at the deputy governor or some attempt were made at the deputy governor. But the way it is now, you just painted the picture. It looks like there was an outlaw crowd, you know, within the deputy governor. Is that what it is?
I have just explained the scenario. That we were going for a meeting and we have virtually settled down when the uproar started from the outside. And the security men attached to the deputy governor were hit by bullets. So I don't know how else to explain it. The security men were hit by bullets, and the security men are meant to protect the deputy governor, and they were hit by bullets. 2 of them.
Well, I don't know if
I don't know how else to describe what has happened.
I don't know if you've seen the statement released by Kasim Afegwa, who's supposed to be the Commissioner for Information.
Yeah, he is.
He released a statement saying that it was rather hasty to conclude that it was an assassination attempt on the life of the deputy governor. He says that that your party or your group had imported thugs. He alleges that the deputy governor had imported thugs into, you know, Edo State from other states. Can you reply to that allegation?
Well, my friend Kasim Afegba was not present on that day at the ceremony, at that event. So I'm sure he speaks on the basis of hearsay. On that note, I will not take very seriously some of those assertions in that statement. In fact, the campaign organization of the deputy governor was taken aback by that statement, because what would have mattered, or what anybody expected from the government side at that point in time, is some sort of solidarity, attempts in order to fish out the people that were involved in that dastardly act, rather than engage in semantics as to what the shooting was all about. As far as I was concerned, we had no talks on our entourage. We had members of the Odubo campaign organization and some supporters that drove with us to Edo North for campaign. It is usual for an aspirant to go with members of his campaign team and supporters. We had no talks. We are all one family. It's an intra-party affair. We have no reason to import talks. And as far as I'm concerned, it should bother anyone. Is it not curious that all the aspirants in the APC who have been going around the state have not had any reason to be intercepted for any on occasions like this? Why was it that it was the deputy governor that was different? So, and I also want to say that no man will be going to solicit for votes from a people and then unleash mayhem on them or his own people that has gone with him. It is unthinkable. So I do not know why they have to issue that statement. We did not accuse government of being behind it. What we merely said was that it must be the handiwork of those who are afraid of a free, fair, and credible contest. The only reference we made to the government and the governor of the state was that this should worry him because it is from his immediate constituency, and we expect that he should help, in ensuring that those who are behind it and are wanting to spoil the name of this government, of which all of us are part of, must be fished out. So we are taken aback as to why government, through the Commissioner of Information, had to come defending and arguing what the incident was all about and what it was not all about, because he was not there.